Alright, hey guys, we're back for part 2. The Empire Strikes Back. Alright guys, I want you to be very, very quiet at this point, because I have made a set. Now this is... a set is when you play a pocket pair and then you get another of the same card. So you have 3 of them. And that's what's happening here. I can go for check raise if I want, but just bet is simple and very profitable, basically. If this guy checks, I'm going to bet at this pot. When he bets, I guess I have to call. Hope to make something happen on the river, like have him check fold. Alright. It's like not a profitable bluff for him. There's no way it's a profitable bluff. I don't have a hand like King 10 often enough. I don't think. Maybe I do. I don't know. I don't think I do. Min raise call. Seems fine. I remember that hand as well. Okay. Playing the goofy mini 3-bet game some more. Seems like people are just so bad at 3-betting the right size that that's become like the standard size in these games. Fold. Call is bad. Raise is okay. Call is fine. Call is fine. Call is like okay, I guess. Yup. That guy also made a set. Wow. Big blind folding. Ace 10 suited there is a little bit amazing. I don't know about that c-bet with King Jack offsuit. Funny hand. Man, people are making some suspect raises in these games. That one was perhaps not the best. I had already folded and moved on, so I didn't get to see that one last night. Wait, what did that guy just fold? Okay. Yeah, I don't know what else you're really gonna do with ace deuce. That hand seemed standard. We're doing the like goofy half pot donk some more. Alright. I mean, I'm gonna keep on like folding the bottom 33% of my range against that bet, and that hand happened to be in it. I don't think there's any real reason to slow play queens just because this guy's got a short stack or whatever. Queens is just too vulnerable a hand to really want to slow play a pre-flop. Why is that guy in the pot with 10-5 suited? I don't understand. Okay, this is reasonable. That's all reasonable. Oh, not all of these hands are particularly interesting, I guess, but I am nothing if not thorough. Oh my god. How is that possible? It's gotta be a misclick fold or a timeout fold or something. Oh, I remember this hand. Yeah, I don't know about calling here if you're not planning to bluff the river. Doesn't seem like the best play. Although, I don't know, maybe if he just thinks I have jack high. It's just like, I don't understand why you wouldn't bluff the river. Maybe if he thinks that I am not a thinking player and won't fold an 8. But on the river, his range is like only flushes and straights. And then I checked to him. And he has king high. So I guess that's the problem with not knowing if the player you're playing against has any idea how poker works. You don't feel comfortable making this bluff. I can imagine not feeling comfortable making this bluff in this spot. I am the one with trips. I think the checking behind here makes a lot of sense. My hand has improved somewhat. I'm guessing that he just c-bet the flop with no equity. That's funny. Alright. 4 deuce suited is probably not the best pre-flop call. Yep. Okay, so pot size bet on the turn there was a flush draw. That's good to know. It's like just a good bet size from him. He can go bigger than that, honestly. Okay, I have a gutter. Oh, that's so sexy. I remember saying that if I hit my queen, it improves his range a lot too. Although I guess I didn't consider that his range is blocking the queen a lot. That's like the other side of that coin. Still though, I think that that's fine. 3-bet, fold. Yeah, so we seem to have some people who fold everything to 3-bets and some people who never fold to 3-bets. Which is an interesting blend. Where is fold to 3-bet? It's gotta be somewhere, right? Ah, here we go. 44% fold to 3-bet, and yet you have people who are folding ace-jack. What a goofy game. So like, I finally have a hand when somebody does this stupid thing to me. I'm gonna raise. This time he folded. Oh, this is happening again. Okay. I don't know. I mean, I very consistently have the bottom half of my range in these spots, it seems like. Fold, that's a pretty bad call. Okay, the rest of that seemed fine. Hey, somebody actually 3-bet to like a non-tiny size, although that 3-bet was too big. So we overcompensated a little bit there. Mini 3-bet with 7s. Okay. That's sort of a fascinating hand to see. We have been limp re-raised, and we have pocket aces. I'm just gonna bet and jam the turn. I need to make sure that I don't hit a ton of like overcards against pocket jacks or something. Probably he just didn't have any hand at all and decided to make that play with like king jack offsuit, would be my guess. I believe we've seen it with jack 10 suited before looking through here. Maybe it was that one. Okay, so people seem to be folding to 3-bets right now, at least. So I'm gonna make a few more, I guess. Why do I have this 6-bet number here? 4-bet, 6-bet. Oh, I worked it out. Here, there's so much money in the pot. I just don't think I have enough fold equity realistically. Okay, fold, call. Wrong. Okay. Man, position sucks. Okay, that guy flopped the flush. Well, I did have outs. So I think maybe what's happening is that a lot of the 3-bets are like min 3-bets, and so people don't fold to them, but people actually do fold to a well-sized 3-bets. And so maybe I need to start 3-betting more in these games. I think that I may have misunderstood what that statistic meant. After betting, I'm just gonna check back twice on this card. Now I have to do something. I can fold. Fold or raise are my options after he makes that bet. I would have bet if jack 2, I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, I remember this one. I don't know if anybody had a good bluffing spot. Okay, that's not a very good... Oh yeah, this hand. Not a very good call pre-flop. Raise, call, fold. Check, 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 bet, call. Nice hand. I think I remember looking up what he had this hand and not being able to find it, but yeah. That is the idea when I bet. Limp, call, call, check, check, bet. What a sick, sick life that man leads. He doesn't even have the jack of diamonds in his hand. That's the filthiest thing. Like, you really would prefer to have the jack of diamonds in this spot so that when you hit a set, it's not completing the flush. I think that his check call on the flop is just pretty bad. Pretty loose call with 9-7 suited. It's gonna be a losing call. I think I have 6-5 offsuit. Okay. It's interesting that this guy folded with ace-4 suited. So you can see that I have a pretty good chunk of equity in this pot. I pretty solidly have to float with this hand here. I think that checking back and bluffing the river is really good. It's the line that I took when I had ace-queen on this board, if you remember. Okay, I can raise and fold to a like jam or something. That was a thin river raise. It's like an exploitative river raise. I shouldn't be raising that hand on the river, but I thought that this guy would not be able to fold nearly as many hands as he should. Yeah, and he just had any ace. Cool. Well, I guess I'm fairly happy with my line. Alright, I'm not gonna start 3-betting the small stacks, but I am gonna start 3-betting the bigger stacks quite a lot more. Yeah, and that guy hit an ace, and then he hit another ace. Okay. Problem with bluff catching here is that I block like all the queen jacks. It's just a pretty bad hand to bluff catch with. I can bluff catch there with some hands, but that's not the right one to do it with. So I don't know. I'm confused about what I'm meant to be doing as far as aggression against these half stacks now. God, it feels like I'm playing poker again. Like I'm actually hitting some hands. Just for a brief moment. All right. Sweet. Fold, fold. It's an okay hand to raise. Like, you're allowed to do that if you want. Okay. Perfectly played hand by my opponent. This is the sort of board where I'm just going to check back and hit a good turn, apparently. Might be a good turn. It's either a very good turn or a very bad turn. That is probably the worst river. I don't need to turn into a bluff. Even when he didn't have a flush or a straight, that river made his hand beat mine. Alright. We would prefer to get the best river than the best turn, as a general rule. So I will work on that. Raise, call, call. The ace-9 suited call is fairly loose. The ace-9 suited raise is interesting. Confused. I would describe it as confused. Yeah, I remember this hand. There isn't really much to say about it that I didn't already say. So he had ace king, huh? Alright. Not the best line. Pretty standard so far. Okay. So the overbet was just a strong draw there. I believe that as a general rule, bigger bets have been more likely to be draws on the turn. Bigger bets do not seem to be the nuts very much in the limited sample that I have. I don't think this sample is with whole cards, but I'm not sure. Here, I can check or bet. I'm gonna bet. I don't know. I can do either with that particular hand, I think. I can also check raise, actually. That was a pretty sexy hand to check raise with. It's a very good turn for my range, but I'm guessing he's going to bet it because I don't really think these guys like stop betting, and I also think that they bet their aces on the flop a whole lot. That's like an even better turn for my range, so I'm just gonna overbet bluff here. Cool. I'm surprised that he folded. Funny hand. I mean, just checking his hand would be normal. he's getting very, very few better hands to fold, basically, with his bets. He gets some protection. Checking is going to be plus EV, so like he's allowed to do that. Okay, so bet call. Okay. Well, we found one sample of the turn donk. It's just not a very sensible bet. Check, bet, call. Oh, yeah. I'm pretty happy about. I made that fold very confidently and quickly, I remember. Folding 4s under the gun isn't completely unreasonable, but it's a little bit tight, a little bit worth noting. Man, that flop call. What on earth was going on there? Folding 10s. So some people are really making some folds to 3-bets. What on earth is this hand? Huh. I don't think that I'm folding too much if I fold 10-8 there. So I think I'm okay with that. I'll half pot. I'm gonna get all in against this guy when he has a worse hand a very large amount of the time. Like not like 80% of the time or something, but he's never folding king jack, king 9, jack 10, stuff like that. Queen jack he's never folding. It's just nice to know that you're very clearly always getting the money in good. Like, on average, good. I'm not explaining myself very well. It is early in the morning. This hand seems fine by both parties. I can check or bet. I'm going to check because I have a diamond in my hand. Turn I can still check or bet. I'm going to check again. A little bit unreasonable to check on the river, I think. Just going to check fold here. So yeah, I actually had 80% equity in this pot when I bet. I'm gonna bluff. Try to take him off like 3s through 6s, pocket 9s, 9-8, 9-7. Plenty of hands which fold there, which are beating me, I think. Pretty happy with that bet. I don't understand why he bet the turn. It's not a very sensible turn bet. I'll be checking a king quite a lot on this turn. And he like doesn't have to protect against very much at all. How do I have 5% equity in this spot? Oh, queen is higher than a 10. Alright, that makes sense. Sixes are... Wow. I folded there? That's unlike me. Way to go, me. I think this guy has an ace a lot of the time. I just like... I don't know. I believe I mentioned last night about how I just don't even try to find bluffing spots in these situations. Okay, he had 6-3 offsuit. Of course. Folding Jack-9 suited on the button to a cutoff open is crazy. I can better check with this hand. I can better check with this hand. I can now check call with this hand. I can sort of check call with this hand. I think a bet here will be quite profitable. So that was another spot where I blocked king queen and queen jack, so it made a lot of sense for me to be bluffing with king jack. The fact that I have a gut shot straight draw isn't super relevant when there are two pairs on the board on the turn. I don't expect to have a ton of equity when called. It's just I don't expect to be called that often, is the point of the bet. This hand is sort of an interesting flop spot, I guess. I think I've talked before about how sometimes I want to bet and sometimes I want to check with ace-king on flops like this, where I have so many combos of ace-king. Just because my range can't handle 16 combos of ace-king in either line, so I need to distribute them in ways that my range can handle. Okay, folding a6 offsuit would be normal. Folding this hand would be pretty normal. I don't even know if 5s is an okay call there. And I made top pair and won. Folding king queen off in the small blind is pretty nitty. What did I do here? Oh yeah, that was a fun one. Okay. Oh, I watched this hand. Yeah, I saw all the stuff I have to say about this hand last night. This is such a bad way to play ace king. I mean, he saved himself some money, I guess. Gonna keep betting. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's not a very good river bet. This is like, I don't know, I've seen lots of people make these bets with hands which are just only getting called by better hands, but which can check and win at showdown. This was maybe not a call I had to make. Got a button limp with like a pretty strong hand there. Oh yeah. And then he like value bets the river. Like he over bets it with a straight on a board where every single hand has a full house. Huh, so we have a light 4-bet. Bet premium 25% of the time. I wonder what the population's fold to 5-bet is. Where do I even find that? Do I even have that? 4-bet. Call a 3-bet, fold a 2, a 3. I don't have that. That's a pretty important thing to have. Oh well. I'm starting to think, okay, early position has had or cutoff has had premiums a very large amount of the time that he's 4-bet. So has hijack. Looks like people maybe like I'm gonna 3-bet these for value since this guy's a shorter stack. I'm gonna c-bet this for folds. Cool, somebody folded. Okay. That's sort of gross. I'm all in though. I expect to be losing here a lot. Okay, I was fine, but 3. Nope. I just, like, am not doing very well when we get all in pre-flop. This is why I'm not playing 50 no limit. So I feel like button 4-bets are actually pretty wide. Wonder how I find out more. Okay, having seen how people, what hands people raise with in the replayer, I'm just not going to fold this particularly quickly. Now I really want to jam. I'll be interested to see what he has in that hand. I think he may have had a legitimate set. But his like timing and sizing on the river just made me feel really, really confident that he didn't have a flush. I have represented a flush a whole lot in river jams. I haven't had it terribly often. This is just a fold. Okay, so we're in the dealer. If we want to see pre-flop activity, we want to see what hands we 4-bet with. More filters. Position, action. This hand has some potential. This hand does not have as much potential. This would be a lovely pot to just win $75 out of. How do I feel about starting to bluff here? I don't feel great. I think just taking my equity is fine. Where's my... I don't know how to see his 4-bet range. Whole card filters. Type of raise. 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 Queens, fives, kings, ace 6, aces, ace jack, king jack, tens, king jack. That one we can discount because that guy's super short. It's hard for this guy to have a hand. On the other hand, it's not that hard for him to have an ace. It's harder for him to have an ace now. He didn't donk? Man. Okay, I need to make sure that I stack deuces. Well, I no longer stack deuces. I need to make sure that I stack like ace queen here now. There's no way that he folds ace queen on this board. Yup, his river donk is pretty dumb. That was nice. I just coolered a guy. The like hand history isn't gonna load. I want to see what ace he had. I think it's like, I don't think it's ace queen. I think he had like ace 6 because I think he was really excited when he improved to about, oh my god. I should just retire now. What a beast I am. Okay, cool. If only I could like win money playing this game. So, okay, here he has kings. What on earth was that hand? I need to rewatch that hand. So that guy made it 8 times his raise pretty much with ace queen. He like min 4-bet, got called, and then we checked it down. Oh, because this guy's all in. Okay. I'm not folding. And we won. We won a hand where the money got all in before the river. I'm just, man, look at me go. Alright, let's keep working through these. Already saw that. This one. Yep. So that's a real light 4-bet. What was his stack size? Slightly below 100. This is not a light 4-bet. Okay. This is a somewhat light 4-bet, but it's like with a merged range. This is a normal hand to just call with. I'm not sure why we are 4-betting this hand. That's odd. King Jack offsuit is like a more. Okay. That's not really light because it was just against a guy with $6. That's just weird. I mean, 10s. You're meant to get in 10s there, but wait, we're like 200 big blinds deep. I don't understand why you would 4-bet 10s there. I haven't played a lot of deep poker though, so maybe I don't understand some preflop stuff, but I'm pretty sure you would just want to call with 10s there as a general rule. That's like the only. Okay, so I've seen 2 like real light 3-bets. This time the guy didn't bet into me on the turn when an ace turned, and I had an ace. Poker, poker, poker. Alright. So unfortunately, I like screwed up my replaying all the hands by going off on that overly excitable tangent. So let's get back to this. The way I was sorting was like this. Oops. Replay. And we were. There were more than 109 though, weren't there? We may have lost some hands. I thought there were like 130 or something. But it seems we have 109 now. Given what I've seen with people folding pretty reasonable hands to 3-bets, I'm going to 3-bet this hand. I'm going to bet here. The gut shot adds a considerable amount of equity to my hand. Considerable amount of expectation. I think checking ace queen is fine. I may just like give up on this experiment because I completely lost my place. And I don't remember. That hand was like forever ago. I'm almost at an hour as well. Okay, I guess I bet an odd hand. What happens this hand? Okay, this hand was quite a while ago too. Hold'em Manager is absolutely killing my computer right now. Jacks. Okay, I hadn't seen that hand. Okay, we're at where I was. Cool. So I think I can finish these if I focus down. Calling 9-7 suited is pretty optimistic, I think, against my 3-bet. This is a really bad call. This is a spot where I expect 2 calls. That's a weird fold to make. Maybe it's okay. Yeah, okay. I was really surprised when he folded turn there, but he just like actually had the last 10 in the deck. Obviously that's much less likely than having one of the 3 aces in the deck, especially since people are more likely to play aces pre-flop than 10s. But now I know. So I could have bet this. I think that betting it was better than checking, actually, given that I have so much equity with the club. It sucks to let him win the spot with... Yeah, well, he didn't, but it could have sucked. That's so sexy. I thought there was no, like, wow, he folded Jack 10 with a club in it? If he's folding Jack 10 with a club in it to this bet, my bet is so profitable. That makes me really happy to see. That's a spot where I would have to do a considerable amount of analysis to see. I actually want to do some analysis. This video will go a little bit long, but I want to show you guys GTO range builder and my email inbox apparently. King diamonds, queen hearts, 6 clubs, 2 clubs, ace clubs is the board. You know, I'm actually going to analyze it at the turn, because I can. It's going to be a little hard to do this while playing hands, I guess. On the turn... 175 in the middle and 32. I'm gonna bet here. Cool. This is why betting is like better with this hand than with 8-10 without spade draw. Yeah, I mean he played his hands somewhat standardly. Checking back flop is not something he has to do. Nah, I can value bet. Okay, so I have to work out ranges. So let's look at pre-flop action is just, we just limit. Okay, so I have just everything that calls a flop bet that didn't raise pre-flop. So that's going to be a good number of hands. It's going to be a ton of kings. Quite a lot of queens. Probably any queen with any sort of straight potential. And any queen with any sort of flush potential, so I can take out spades, but I'm just going to sit out of these tables. We'll finish the rest of the video without live play, I guess. Because this is cool. It's taking too much attention. And then all the queen sixes, all the queen, yeah. And then maybe some sixes. Not many sixes, but I'll have some sixes with backdoor flush draws, and I'll fold most of my sixes to the flop bet. And then I have some draws, some jack tens, some king, some ace 10, some like ace 10 offsuit, probably raise ace 10 suited pre, maybe, no, probably not, some jack 9 suited. I think I just fold jack 9 offsuit. I think that if I have backdoors, I probably call that. I probably call jack 6 suited with backdoors. I call ace 6 suited with backdoors. I have sixes here and can slow play them, definitely. My range looks something like this. 10-9 suited with backdoors. That's the range which I call the flop with. Something like that. 21% of hands, so I'm not raising anything with what I gave myself. I just said that I raised king-queen pre-flop, which probably isn't actually true. I'm going to give myself half the combos of king-queen. So I'm defending something like 30% of the time versus flop bet. And his flop bet is 2/3 of the pot into 2 people. So together, the two of us need to defend something like 60% of the time. So I'm probably over defending here, if you want to think about it mathematically. Maybe not, though. I just have to try to... Me and the other guy who limped are meant to be making it so that betting is the same expectation as checking for some segment of his hands, but it's hard to say exactly which one without solving it. And then this guy will have king-queen. His range is going to be quite a bit stronger than mine, but he'll have king-queen. He'll have all the jack 10s, jack 9s, the 10-9s, probably more gutters than me. He'll have sixes. He doesn't have nearly as wide a range. Ace 10 suited seems reasonable with the backdoor flush draw. Maybe once in a blue moon, something like 8-7 suited with the backdoor flush draw, but not too often. So his betting range is like somewhat tight compared to how wide my range was. I'm just not having him complete with king 9 suited, and even if he did, he's not going to bet all of his kings on the flop. So something like that. We're going to say that we're only allowed to bet, that's a little over half pot. So we're only allowed to bet a little bit over half pot. I think that's what he did on the river too. Yeah, so that works out. Like I can't have a ton of different bet sizes for a tree this big. It'll just get impossible to break apart and understand. We're gonna allow just 2 raises to try to cut down the branches, but we are allowed to jam, which I did. So it's important that we allow that. And we had 175 with 32. And I'm in position. Cool. So if that's gonna solve, I'm gonna try to get through the rest of these hands real quick. This is just, I remember this hand. What a bizarre hand. If you're gonna bluff with ace queen, like bet big enough that someone can fold. I didn't need to call turn here. Okay. Yeah, I guess I could have gone all in there, but I did not. It's sort of fun to see everybody's equity pre-flop. Like, these guys with 6-4 offsuit and Jack-9 offsuit actually had pretty decent equity shares pre-flop. I've never actually looked at tables in a replayer like this with all the hell cards available. Guy 3-bet me light. Okay. Oh, so let's look at this tree. I actually have much higher EV than villain, despite the fact that I have more hands because I gave villain more draws. Sorry, there's loud noise happening because people are awake in my house. I'm gonna shut the door. So, if we assign these ranges, GTRB wants villain to actually be checking a ton of the time, but he's gonna bet sometimes. I'm meant to call with this range, so what am I folding? Not a lot, basically. Not folding very much. How often do I fold? Fold 23.3% of the time. That's over defending against that bet size, right? Yes. So I'm meant to over defend when he bets, which is interesting. I guess because all the stuff he bets has some equity against my calling range, and because my range is quite a bit stronger than his. And I want to make sure he doesn't bluff because I have hands like Queen X and stuff that I want to get to showdown. So we're going to play a river after he bets and I call. And it's the Ace of Clubs river. And he's going to bet sometimes. And he's actually meant to check Jack-10 a decent amount of the time. And I assume that the point there is to check raise. Let's see. If he checks and I bet, he is check raising, right? He's actually check calling. So GTRB actually thinks that my range is so strong here that villain should be check calling Jack-10 a lot of the time. And that's after it had villain only bet like 27% of the time on the turn. So basically people in villain's shoes are probably way overplaying their hands here. Am I actually meant to raise? I had King 4 offsuit, right? With a club in it. That's sort of amazing. GTORB actually thinks that jamming with my hand is correct. It only wants me to do it 30% of the time, but I'm pretty pleased about that. And when I jam, villain folds Jack 10. Cool. So I played my hand pretty damn well, I would say. I'm gonna call it at that. It's a fun little analysis. I'm sort of curious. Real quick, I just want to see what happens on a brick river if he bets. So, villain bets, I call, river is 4 of spades, which, well, actually that hits my exact hand, but it doesn't hit much. Villain bets, let's see what I'm meant to be calling with on this river. Pretty much any king I'm meant to call with king 5, almost always. The reason that I'm meant to be folding, see, I'm calling with king 5 and folding king 9, and the reason for that is that king 9 blocks 10-9 and jack 9, which are big parts of his bluffing range. I'm raising with 6s, I'm raising with 7-6 suited as a bluff, which makes sense because that blocks his combos of 6s. Also raising with 8-6 suited as a bluff sometimes. King Queen is strong enough to raise for value occasionally, but not always. Queens can be raised as a bluff, but don't need to be. This is fun. So, like, the coolest thing about this is that it just tells you what you can and cannot do. And generally, against a good opponent, there are meant to be like multiple options which are just as good as each other, and you're meant to be mixing between them. So, with king 8 offsuit, I can call or fold. And that sort of, like, takes the stress out of the decision for me. If I'm playing against an opponent I know nothing about, the fact that I know that game theoretically I'm allowed to call or fold here, and I'm meant to be doing either against a good player, means that I get to just sit there and try to think of what the best one is against this particular villain and try to make the best decision. And I know that against like perfect opponent, either one's meant to be fine. I don't have to like second guess myself all the time, like maybe I shouldn't have called there, maybe calling was bad. I know that calling can be okay. But I'd also know that calling with Queen Jack here is pretty ludicrous. And obviously I know that calling with Jack 10 when I've missed is silly too. Alright, cool. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I got sidetracked away from playing into theory there at the end, which is something that happens to me a lot because I find this stuff to be the most interesting stuff at a poker table. Alright, bye guys.